It is episode 255 of the Derek Diamond Experience podcast, and hopefully you're enjoying your time in quarantine with yourself, friends, family. I know I've been working from home. I think going on 4 weeks now. But for this week, I'm very excited to talk about one of the most fun movies that I have seen in a long time, and it was so fun that I couldn't do this review alone. So joining me on the show this week is fellow podcaster and local actor, Mr. Thomas Rochester. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, brother. How you doing?
Doing good. I know we haven't really talked too much since Pensacon, but are you in quarantine or are you still working? What's been going on with you?
I am still working. My job has been deemed quote unquote essential, but it's only essential to the economy. I work as an engineer to pay the bills. It is my day job. And it has been a little bit slower at work in the sense of getting responses from people is next to impossible in a 72-hour time span. But other than that, work is pretty much the exact same, which is nice considering that I am now not traveling. So I'm sitting on a lot of money that I normally am shelling out for rentals and stuff. How's life in quarantine for you? I know I'm watching your daily diamonds every morning, and it brightens up my work day before everyone else gets to the office.
I appreciate that. No, it's I figured, since I'm working from home now, why not have a little bit of fun with it? And honestly, it's like the chats from the Daily Diamond have become almost bigger than the podcast. And I think it's because a lot of people are working from home, and incorporating the top 5 list and everything, makes it really interactive. And some of them are really hard. Like the one, I think today I did sports movies and then did wrestlers yesterday. And those were both really hard.
Yeah. Oh man, I had to make mine up on the spot this morning because I missed the chat last night, and I listed 5 off the top of my head, and then I forgot all of my favorite comedies that are sports films like Semi-Pro, Waterboy, The Replacements, and I was upset.
Well, that's the thing with sports movies is that they're almost divided like strictly into 2 separate categories. You have your comedies like your Major League, Semi-Pro, ones like that, and then you have the dramas like Remember the Titans and Rudy, various ones like that. So you could honestly probably do like top 5 drama and top 5 comedy.
Yeah, definitely. I still think The Program is probably my favorite sports movie of all time. It is the most accurate description of a college football team I think that you could put out there. Not only did it blow my mind, I was like, oh, that's what college is going to be like. And then I got to college and I was like, oh, it probably won't be like that. It's exactly what it was like.
I haven't seen that one, so I'll have to check that out. Ooh. Yeah.
That's a good 90s flick. James Caan, Cuba Gooding Jr., I do believe, is the running back. Yeah, it's got a good cast. It's a fun one. That's a fun one. It's a very drama. I think it's rated R.
Okay. Oh, even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to try and check that out hopefully this weekend. But as I mentioned earlier, so we're here to talk about 2 things. We're obviously going to talk about CyberCon, which is this weekend, that I know you've had a huge hand in. So we'll get to that a little bit later on. But something that you recommended, because I had the idea to bring you on the show this week to talk about CyberCon, and I do some type of movie or show review, and I was like, what can we review? And you brought up Jumanji, and instantly I was like, absolutely, because I kind of starting back from the 90s, did you ever see the original with Robin Williams?
I did. I saw it when I was, I think it was as soon as it came out on VHS. We probably rented it or my grandma bought it. It's what she did. And we watched it and it scared the hell out of me.
Yeah, it's one of those movies, like I remember watching it as a kid and I liked it. And then years later, they announced the Welcome to the Jungle, with the first movie with The Rock, Kevin Hart, Karen Gillian. And there were a lot of people that were upset by it. They're like, oh, you can't remake Jumanji. But I'm like, I don't know if I would put Jumanji quite in that untouchable category. I mean, there are some that you would put on that list, and as much as I like Jumanji and I love Robin Williams, I wouldn't think Jumanji is like sacred film grounds. I don't know if you feel the same way.
I feel the exact same way. Like I said, it scared me. So normally when I get scared by a film, I don't usually enjoy it the second time, but I enjoyed Jumanji the second time. It's got a very Jurassic Park feel to it. I think it's just old school, good effects, and it's a great story. It's about finding your home after you have been stranded. It's basically Castaway, but with Les Wilson. And as soon as they announced the second one, I was like, I mean, I'd give anything that The Rock is in a chance. So I saw it and mind blown, especially when they tied it into the first one. That was a very unexpected situation, and so that was very. Until I saw Ready Player One, I would consider Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle the best video game film of all time.
You could definitely make the argument that it's up there, because I remember seeing the trailer for it and I was like, oh, this looks like a pretty fun movie. Like I'll eventually check it out. Like I had actually no plan to go see it in theaters, and I love The Rock. You know, I know from the wrestling list I did the other day, like I remember following him from back in the late 90s, and now seeing that he's become pretty much the biggest movie star in the world.
Yes.
Is an absolutely insane story, and like his story needs to be a movie all on its own.
I'm pretty sure he's working on that, actually. Okay. I do believe I've seen something, either a movie or a series with someone playing a younger version of him. Or is it a comedy about his childhood?
You're right, it is. Yeah, it's like Young Rock or something like that.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, because I mean, his childhood was insane.
Well, and even as he got older, you know, when he played for the University of Miami and then tried to go play in the CFL, and he was in trouble all the time.
Yeah.
Finally went into the family business, and then the rest, as they say, is history.
Boy, the rest is present tense.
That's true.
There's no telling.
And the thing is, I think he's only in like his mid to late 40s, I think. So he's still relatively young.
He is in his late 40s. He will be 50 May 2nd of 2022.
Oh, wow.
I know numbers well, and I read his autobiography 4 times while I was 8 years old.
That's awesome.
Don't recommend it for your children, by the way. There's a very strong adult graphic description. It's not even that graphic of a description, but it's some sex.
Are you talking about the one he wrote like while he was still in WWE?
Yes.
Yeah,
I think it was called The Rock Says. Yeah, I've read that so many times, and every time I read that section, I just laugh at how. And now I laugh because it's like he's just putting himself down the whole time. Yeah. Which is he's very self-deprecating about it. But when I was a kid, I was like, wow, this is steamy.
Well, that's the thing about The Rock that I think is very appealing, is that he is self-deprecating and he doesn't take himself very seriously. Like, he's arguably the most famous movie star in the world. He's one of the most charismatic people on the planet. But you can tell that he's extremely humble about where he's at. And I think that's why I like him as an actor even more. Because I even remember, did you see the Sonic the Hedgehog movie?
Oh my God. Yes. Is The Rock president? I was going to say that.
Well, so that little clip was released on Twitter, and they tagged The Rock in it. And The Rock responded by talking about how he loved playing Sonic in college. And that reference was really humbling to him because he was a Sonic fan. Who would I say that if I were on that level of fame? I mean, I would like to think so, but the fact that he did was super cool.
The Rock, we all aspire to be him, both in size and in gratitude and largeness of heart.
Yes. God, if I ever, like, something on my bucket list, honestly, is to meet The Rock, even if it's like a 30-second conversation. I just want to meet The Rock one day.
He will probably remember your name for the rest of his life. So,
hopefully,
yeah. I mean, I want to be in a fight scene with The Rock.
Oh man,
because we have very different sizes and probably very similar styles, despite the size difference.
He'd have to give you the rock bottom.
and the people's elbow.
And
them's the rules. And he's got to kip up in our fight. I've written it out. I won't lie.
Hey, can't blame you there.
I'll be like, don't worry, you're gonna win, Rock. You don't have to worry about Vin Diesel or what's his name? Jason Statham on the punch counts, dude. You're gonna win.
Yeah.
I have these specific things I need to happen.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. He'll probably be like, wow, that's a mediocre fight. He called it mediocre.
So, we see the original Jumanji because I saw it in theaters. I want to say it came out right after. Did it come out right after Force Awakens, or was it Last Jedi?
I think it was around Last Jedi.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I had Movie Pass, so it was definitely around Last Jedi.
I remember Movie Pass.
Movie Pass, it's a relic from a bygone era.
I still have my card.
I cut mine up.
That's probably the smart decision.
Yeah.
But I remember watching it, and I was laughing so hard that I couldn't breathe in some parts, just because you have The Rock, who's hilarious. Mm-hmm. You have Kevin Hart, who's hilarious. You have Jack Black, Tenacious D, who is hilarious too. You put them together, and I'll give Karen Gillian this because I only knew her from Doctor Who. Oh, she held her own with the other three, and she fit right in.
I only knew her from Guardians of the Galaxy, and so let's see. Last Jedi was 17.
Mm-hmm.
So Guardians 2 was already out. So I was like, okay, I had a different expectation, I think, because she was Nebula and she was hilarious in the second one. Mm-hmm. With the it's not ripe fruit part, like that still gets me to this day. I think it's the best little callback. So when I saw that, I don't remember what scene it was, but she does something, and like her expression is, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. And I died in the theater. I was the only person in the theater too. So I had free reign to talk and laugh the whole time. And I just busted out laughing at only her expression, because I was thinking the same thing. Was like, holy crap, she did that. And her face just told the story. Like, a great acting right there.
I remember, I think it was the Comic-Con before the first Guardians of the Galaxy. They had the full cast Q&A, and someone asked her, what was it like having to put the bald cap on, to play Nebula, and then she just pulls her hair off, and it was a wig, and she was just completely shaved bald, and that whole room went nuts. And I was like, holy crap, she actually went like that. That took some balls to do that.
Yeah, that's commitment.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I will say it is. I have a lot of hair, and just putting it up to put a mask on sometimes is a real literal pain in my scalp. So I would probably, if someone said you can be bald or wear a bald cap, I'll probably be bald by the end of it anyway with how much hair I'm going to lose. So I'd probably shave it too.
Figure you might as well just eliminate the painful process and just...
It'll eventually grow back. Who knows? Maybe my head will not be as misshapen as I think it is.
Yeah. Who knows?
Who knows?
So what was your reaction to Welcome to the Jungle when you saw it?
Blown away. Totally not what I expected. I would say probably 4 times better than I was expecting. Like it really put me back in my seat and was like, this was amazing. I need to buy this. I cannot wait to see this again. I think Movie Pass had eliminated repeat viewings by that point, so I didn't want to pay for it. I won't lie. But I was so excited just because I loved video games growing up. I don't really have the time to play them right now or ever lately, but I've always wanted a good video game movie that follows the rules of a video game, but still follows the same rules of a movie plot. And it was the first movie that I think truly accomplished both of those feats seamlessly and without trying.
Well, the cool thing, too, is I thought it played a nice homage to the original Jumanji as well. So it wasn't necessarily it was a reboot in a way, but it paid little subtle nods to the Robin Williams movie, which I appreciated. And again, I wasn't a diehard fan of the original Jumanji, but the fact that they did that made me appreciative of it.
Yes, and we'll get to how they continued that in the second one once we get closer to the end of the talk. But yeah, I concur. My favorite thing about it leading up is when everyone was outraged. He's like, we're not trying to do anything that Robin Williams did. You can't compete with Robin Williams. He's a genius. He's amazing. And he lives in pop culture history for the rest of time. He's like, but we're going to do our thing. And we hope that it pays the right homage and it pays respect to what that film did. And I think they lived up to that.
No, I absolutely agree. And I just remember, and I didn't necessarily have low expectations going in, but I don't think I really had any expectations. And like you, I was just completely blown away by the fact that it was a cool-looking movie. You could tell the cast was having a blast. It was almost nonstop hilarious. And it's just, not every movie has to be this artistic cinematic masterpiece like The Lighthouse or your finer dramas. Like, you can go to a movie and just shut your brain off and enjoy the ride, and this is great at that.
Yes, and not only that, but it does have, if you're a fan like I am of trying to pick out the plot before it's gotten there, it gives you little Easter eggs and little nuggets, which is a video game thing. And it gives you just enough to be able to, are they going to do this? And then when you get there, they have a 50-50 success rate on whether they're going to do it or flip it and do something totally different.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. Adam, I'll get to your comment in a second when we get into the sequel. But they announced that there was going to be a second one, which I was really excited for. And the thing with sequels, especially to movies that are surprises, the surprise element is gone for the sequel, because, like, say, I'll use The Mandalorian as an example. No one really knew what to expect with The Mandalorian, and then it was a huge hit. But there's going to be high expectations for season 2.
Oh, yeah.
So for me, there were higher expectations, like, are they going to just retread the whole thing? Or is it going to be a repeat of the original one? But you bring in two greats like Danny DeVito and Danny Glover, and you've got me sold on that already.
Huh?
Are we in Florida?
Oh my God, what a line.
Well, I remember the first time I saw the trailer, and The Rock starts talking like Danny DeVito, and I'm like, oh my God, that's brilliant.
Right.
I'm all in. So what was your reaction? Well, and I'll say this. So Adam Waldron says in the comment, I always said you would kill me by talking too slow.
He studies the language as he goes through every word in it to get to the point.
Yes, that's an ostrich. It's a flightless bird. And yes, they travel in herds.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, they run fast. Yeah, when I first saw the trailer, I was also just like, oh, The Rock's gonna do Danny DeVito like the whole movie. I already was buying a ticket, man, but like, you really sold me with that.
Yeah.
They had the Florida line in the trailer, right? I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when they revealed that Kevin Hart was going to be Danny Glover, all I could think was, I'm too old for this stuff.
Yeah.
And,
why have I become a small, muscular Boy Scout?
That's like the nicest compliment / diss that someone's probably ever said about Kevin Hart.
Well, the thing about that, and to sidetrack a little bit, but if you follow like the leading up to the release of that movie, the pictures that The Rock would post on his Instagram with him and Kevin Hart's interaction was so freaking funny.
Yeah.
Like, he constantly called Kevin Hart his son.
Yeah, I was following some of that because that was his first press since his car accident. So it was like a really big deal, and they were having so much fun. I'm pretty sure they made Kevin hurt because he was laughing so much. He needed to have some pressure taken off, and they kept putting the pressure on by making him laugh.
I bet that would have been such a great set to be on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, all of those kids, they're all big kids in their own way. Like, I love it. Did you see the Jack Black and Karen Gillian's I'm trying to remember exactly it. They would like do little sing-song things and they had to guess what they were trying to mimic. And they did one and someone did this. Karen Gillian was like, and I was like, is that your Danny DeVito? And she's like, I love how I only had to do her. And you thought it was Danny DeVito. Like that was the whole, it was like a 5 to 10 minute video. Go Google it, folks watching on the Facebook and the podcast. It is very much worth your time. You're going to laugh and it's going to hurt a little bit later.
That sounds fantastic. Yeah, Adam says Jack Black is my spirit animal. That's actually a fact. As long as I've known Adam, Jack Black has been his spirit animal.
It's a good spirit animal.
Yeah.
Especially when he's got the big beard and cowboy boots and a hat dancing on TikTok.
I haven't seen any of those, but that sounds amazing.
Oh, it's glory.
With Jack Black, I always think of Tenacious D and the tribute music video.
I always think of School of Rock.
Oh, School of Rock's a great movie.
It's a classic, dude. That's one of the. That's a movie I need a sequel to.
There should be a sequel, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would love a sequel right now. Give it to me, please.
So Adam and I, a little side story. He and I work at the Blue Wahoos together, and we did a School of Rock night. And he actually had the outfit, like the tuxedo with the shorts that Jack Black wore. He wore that, and then I had the top hat with the white button up and the roll up sleeves with the red tape on it. It was great. I have to find the picture and send it to you, but it was a super fun night.
That is glorious.
But I can't imagine just the stories that you could hear on set of Jumanji: The Next Level with guys like, I mean, enough stories from like The Rock and Kevin Hart and Jack Black, but you throw in Danny DeVito and Danny Glover. I bet Danny Glover's got stories for a lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they both do.
Yeah.
They are triple my lifetime. Almost. I think they're both almost triple my lifetime.
I can't remember exactly how old they are.
I think they're in their 70s, and I'm 28, so...
Yeah.
Pushes it.
Yeah.
Pushes it. It's close.
Something like that.
The math almost adds up.
Yeah. So what were some of the moments in Jumanji: The Next Level that stood out to you as far as being like your favorite? And those who are in the chat, feel free to throw yours in as well, and we'll absolutely talk about them.
Carlos Longoria, why are you doing your taxes? It's a trap.
That's a trap. They actually pushed back the date for tax day.
So for like filing, that's good because I forgot to do mine.
Yeah, I haven't done mine yet.
Yeah, I've had other reasons to forget about it. So some moments that stood out to me. Definitely, are we in Florida? Like the first dropping into the level of Jumanji, and they were kind of figuring it all out again. That was really fun, especially with that hippo man. Or no, was it the snake this time? It was the snake that bit him in half. Yeah, that scared the hell out of me. I won't lie. I jumped. I teared up a little. Snakes are scary. But it was hilarious how they all like got reacquainted with Jumanji. I would have to say the fighting of the ostriches. The Rock has a line where he goes, I held a guy, punched an ostrich, and fought off a whole herd. Oh, I driving a car. I was a machine. That was
untouchable.
I'm untouchable. I've never been this good in so long. You were never this good. Like that whole exchange was fantastic. I cannot remember the actor's name to save my life, but he played the Hound in Game of Thrones.
I know who you're talking
about. He's the villain, and his evil monologue, if you will, at the beginning when they really introduce who he is, before you find out who Spencer is in the game, and he talks about his friend Dagfin, And then, he's like, why did he have to die? Goes on, and then he's just like, so I fed Dagfin to his hyenas. Like, whoa.
And I love Dagfin.
Yeah. Makes you think I wouldn't do the same to you. I'm like, well, bravo. That was a good speech. I was literally like, what's he going to say? What's he going to do? And then he drops that. And I go, okay, that fits with the Hound. Okay. That was a very good villain choice. Very good writing. Bravo to that. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah.
And then, I'm going to skip forward a little bit. The fact that Bethany came back as a horse. I'm trying to remember it. Cannonball. Sometime might have been the name of the horse. I thought that was a great piece of writing, and they got Colin Hanks back in as his character's name, which escapes me.
I want to say it was Alex.
Alex, that's what it was. It was a very simple name. Of course, I'd forget it. I'm going to be honest though. Like the part that stands out to me the most, I'll do two. I'll do one really quick. Is when they go to get the fruit, the desert fruit, and they have to follow the flame. And then they're in that water, and then they make contact, and they switch bodies. Genius piece of writing. I thought that was exquisite how they did it. It was a great surprise. As soon as they like go and reach and they make contact, I'm like, nothing's happened. And then I'm like, oh, dude, they're going to switch bodies, aren't they? And then boom, it happened as soon as I thought it.
Well, the way they did it too was brilliant because, they go to not to cut you off, but whenever they find the spring with that same type of water and they all emerge with Welcome to the Jungle blasting in the background, It was great.
It was a great callback because you weren't expecting it a second time in the movie. But my favorite part of that first scene is the fridge just going, jumping up and down. He's like, I'm a machine. And he just starts doing like all the jump kicks and just you get classic old school video game graphics in terms of the body movement. And I was watching it in 4K before we hopped on that scene. And I can't tell if it's CGI or if they have her on a wire, but like perfect body control to get it to look exactly like a video game. And then of course, what does he do? With great power comes great responsibility, and he breaks it. And they switch back before the scene even ends. Like you don't even cut away from it, I don't think. But then my favorite part of the whole movie, my favorite actor in the whole movie is Awkwafina, because of her portrayal. Like I thought The Rock as Danny DeVito was going to be like the creme de la creme of this movie. No, it's Awkwafina as Danny DeVito, because she gets the voice, the attitude, the personality, and the walk completely down, the slumped shoulders.
I was about to say,
I couldn't, the whole time that was going on, every time he was on the screen, it was gold to me. That was my favorite part of the whole movie, because I don't know if you can get better than an impersonation of Danny DeVito than that.
It shows how great of an actor she is by playing another actor.
Yes. And not only that, she plays two actors. She plays Spencer, and she plays Spencer perfectly. Like down to the exact twitches in his voice and the stuttering. I was like, oh, that's totally Spencer. Like as soon as it was like, wait, you guys, I was like, Spencer, boom, easy. And it took the characters like, a couple more sentences to figure it out. And then as soon as she like walked out and I could see her walking, I was like, that's Danny DeVito. Like that is spot on DeVito from anything ever.
Well, and that's something that's great too about this movie, is that a lot of the actors are having to play multiple personalities, and they all nail it throughout the entire movie, which is nuts. Like you have Kevin Hart playing Danny DeVito, and then Fridge. So, and like everybody has two personalities to play, and I thought they all did a phenomenal job. Like there's not a lot of people talk about the acting in this movie because it's got cool effects and it's a comedy, but it's got really good acting in it as well.
Yeah, it's got great acting, and I was so surprised that Jack Black was Fridge, and at first I was like, I don't know if his impression is really on point. And the more it went, I was like, no, that's totally Fridge, man. Like he's doing it. He's doing it Fridge impression, but it's as Jack Black because, you can't change your voice that much as a person. You have limitations, and it was just perfect. He embodied the personality so well. And when Karen Gillian became Fridge, she was
great.
She's like, dude, this body is amazing. And I was like, wow, that's a really good impression. Like, I'm very impressed that she's English, right? Of that. So doing an American accent, I don't understand how actors can do an American accent. It blows my mind. It's probably because I am American, but I don't know how people can do it. And the fact that she did that and then played Fridge, and her voice could only go so far, but it was the personality, the looks, the facial movements that really captured and encapsulated Fridge, I think.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. The moments that stood out to me was the initial arrival in Jumanji. And I know they gave it away in the trailer, but whenever you find out that The Rock and Kevin Hart are Danny DeVito and Danny Glover, respectively, was just like you could tell you were in for a fun ride with that whole thing. And then when they're in the desert and The Rock / Danny DeVito sees himself, his reflection, and he's like, oh, my eyes are a different color. And Kevin Hart says, all of you is a different color. Just little one-liners like that are so great. And Wade Vatican says in the chat, oh, geez, I need to see this one. Yeah, you've got to see it. It's such a fun movie. Like, if you haven't seen Welcome to the Jungle, you obviously watch that first, but it's absolutely worth it. And I can't remember if I said this at the beginning of the show, but I watched it right before we hopped on here to do the podcast, and I was so glad I did because it was only my second time watching it. But I remember just laughing my butt off in the theater. It was so freaking good. Do you think that there will be a third one?
Oh, yeah. I do. Spoiler alert for the movie. If you watch all the way through, there is a little post-credit scene. I wouldn't really call it a post-credits. It's more of like a sneeze, and we're back at the scene. Which, as I mentioned, I alluded to earlier, they tie it back into the original Jumanji. That it'll hit me in a second. Is it Patty? No, Carol. Aunt Carol? Yeah. I think that's the name. She's the owner of
Nora's.
Nora. It's Nora. Yeah, she is the aunt of the kids from the original Jumanji. So like it ties right back into that. And it's very fitting that they're at Nora's diner when all of a sudden there's a herd of ostriches that run by. Which as soon as it ended, I was like, oh no, like I was excited, but also I was like, I gotta wait for the next one. Like that's a total bummer because I think, I mean, it makes the most sense that the video game characters are going to come out like they did in the original Jumanji, right? They've earned that, so now we'll see the characters as they are meant to be interacting with the humans. And more likely than not, the humans are going to have to teach the characters how to deal with all the stuff going on. I don't think that Dr. Bravestone is going to have that super duper strength and be able to throw people through walls and all that good stuff. And their weaknesses are going to increase, and they're probably going to be mortal now. It's going to be more than it's going to be probably less than 3 lives. They'll probably die on the first one. What are your thoughts, Derek?
I think as long as The Rock has his smoldering intensity, I think he'll be good. I loved at the very end when Danny DeVito's talking with BB Newirth and he does the smoldering look at it, and it works too. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, he does it, and I'm like, oh wow. Okay, I didn't know Danny DeVito could smolder, you know?
Because she's just like, oh, I'm gonna take this here, and I'll be right back. I was like, huh? It worked. Go, Danny.
Go. There you go, Danny DeVito. You guy.
Wade Vatican brings in a good point. He says that would be interesting, perhaps seeing the original characters meeting with the modern ones. So maybe bringing in some characters from the original movie. Maybe the kids are adults, and you bring them in.
That would be awesome. Honestly, that would be really cool. Wow.
Because I think they're going to do that with the next Jurassic World, is bring in, I can't remember their names, but Laura Dern's character.
Sam Neill.
Yeah, Sam Neill and Jeff Goldblum, even though he was in Fallen Kingdom
Fallen Kingdom, yeah.
For like 5 seconds, but
life finds a way.
Life finds a way. Yeah, but I agree with you. I think it's got to mirror the original Jumanji as far as like the game coming to life, because they've gone into the game world twice. I don't think you can do that for a third time.
I think it comes down to the lives. Once you go past 3, it's over.
Yeah.
So, once you end that, you lose that third one, you can't do it again. So now they're going to come out and it's kind of everyone's on their last leg.
One thing has to happen though. My boy Nigel has to show up and say, "Welcome to Jumanji." at some point. He played a non-playable character so well with just a limited vocabulary. Perhaps you should read it aloud.
I'm a huge fan of Flight of the Conchords, and he plays their manager in it. And that's, if you've never heard of Flight of the Conchords, I very much recommend you go find it on HBO. It is created by Jermaine Clement, who, simply put, he is the voice of Tamatoa from Moana, and he's one of the singers. So they sing songs in every episode. But it's written and directed by Taika Waititi. Almost the whole series is.
I'm sold already.
If that gives you an idea. I was a fan of Taika before I realized that Taika was a big deal, because my friend got me into that, and then they're like, "Oh, you should watch this movie," and it was What We Do in the Shadows, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And then I was like, "Wait a minute, let's see, when did I watch What We Do in the Shadows?" Yeah, I watched it before he got announced as the new director for Ragnarok, and there you go. Like, that's the story. But Nigel, the actor that plays Nigel, plays their manager, and boy, if you had to compare two characters, I would have to say the manager, Murray, is a non-playable character in this show, Flight of the Conchords.
Well, it goes back to what you were saying earlier. There's so many little like subtle Easter egg as far as like video game references go, like the non-playable character with just having the limited dialogue. You have the lives, you have the convenient items that are there that push the story along. And one of my favorite lines is when Bravestone starts reading the letter, and then it transitions to the shot of the castle, and he's like, "Wait, what's going on?" And Karen Gillian's like, "That's a cutscene. It's gonna actually, you know what? Never mind. Just watch."
Yeah, I'll tell you after.
Like, as a gamer, those little references, like, I geek out over stuff like that. Not everyone catches it, but it's the little nuances in movies that I love, because most anyone can come up with a general story, but it's coming out with those little bitty layers that makes it enjoyable for like the diehards like us. Yeah,
I agree, and that's why before Ready Player One came out, it was the best video game movie I'd ever seen. Welcome to the Jungle. In my top 3 of video game movies, it's 2 Jumanji movies and Ready Player One. And Ready Player One might move around a little bit because of how old school these movies, the old school games are referenced in the new Jumanji movies. And Ready Player One is kind of like the future of gaming in a way. Actually, it's very much the future of gaming.
Could be the future of society at one point.
I am so worried that that's exactly what's I mean, we're already living in a simulation. Like, how many layers of simulation do they want us to go is the real question.
Yeah. No, that's true. It's Carlos says, "I thought the NPC was going to be a secret villain." That would have been a cool twist, actually.
Save it for the third.
Yeah. If Nigel turns out to be the mastermind behind this whole thing,
right?
that would blow my mind. I would actually really like that.
Yo, someone get us on the horn with the rack.
Exactly.
We got a pitch here.
Like, Rock, I need two things. I need you to hear this pitch, and I need an hour of your time, and I need to grab my recorder because you're going to do my podcast.
That's three. That's three things, man.
Okay, maybe that's one too many. But funny enough, like, I don't think, like, you'd think that maybe The Rock would have done like Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast or Chris Jericho's podcast, but he hasn't yet. At least I don't think he has.
I'm actually, yeah. I think he might have done Stone Cold once back when it first started. I do believe they've had one chat. Mm-hmm. I could be wrong, but they always have amazing Twitter interactions.
Yeah.
Like, I love them so much. Yeah. Did you see, hard tangent really quick, did you see Jericho's live stream on Saturday with Kevin Smith?
I saw a little bit of it. I didn't watch the whole thing. I need to go back and watch it.
I need to go watch the whole thing as well, because I just gotten off another live stream buying comics from Pennsylvania. So I was like, I need to lay down and go to bed, man. I'm sorry, guys. But I just happened to open it up, and it was like, Chris Jericho's live. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Opened it up, and I saw Kevin Smith, and I was like, Grains and Greens is back, baby. Let's go. What are we talking about?
Energy is back.
Energy is back.
I love it. But yeah, I hope they do a third movie to kind of round out this trilogy, just because it hits all the nuances for me. It's a fun story. The acting is good. You've got a solid cast. Mm-hmm. So why not do a third? And I think eventually they will. I mean, guy, with how busy The Rock's schedule is, it's that guy is, I think, the hardest working man on the planet.
Yeah, I do believe so. That's why everyone wants him to be president, but I think that's exactly why he does not want to be president.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard they even joked about it in the Sonic movie, like we mentioned before, but because I think they're just now really starting to work on Black Adam. And that was announced a long time ago.
Like a decade ago or so, right? I think
it was not too long after the new streak of DC movies started. So
I'm thinking. I'm trying to think. I want to say it was in the hype, like when they started announcing before Batman versus Superman came out. Did they not release like the schedule because Warner Brothers was like, we're gonna make a universe? I believe they announced Black Adam in that, and he was finally able to come out and be like, I'm playing Black Adam. And it was like, what? Okay. And that was before he'd even gotten in on the Fast Five and this and that and this and that. He was like, The Rock's going to play Black Adam. We're guaranteed on that. And then he became the biggest movie star on the planet, arguably. And now they're like, we're giving Black Adam his own movie, probably a trilogy, because it's The Rock.
And it will make all of the money.
It will.
Because
The Rock has this strange, uncanny ability to come in, take an existing franchise, and make it go up a level. And it's weird because it started with Mummy 2, The Rise of the Scorpion King, which led to its spinoff movie, The Scorpion King. And it's like insane how he's, what is it? Let's see. Rebooted Walking Tall. Mm-hmm. Rebooted Gridiron Gang. I do believe that was a sequel. No, that was not a sequel. Rescind that. He's rebooted Jumanji, basically rebooted the Fast series when he dropped in on Fast 5 and changed the game entirely. Black Adam.
Yep.
There's another show that he's not, there's something that he's not in, but he produced and got it off the ground.
He did that Titans show.
Titans. Yes. That's probably what I'm thinking of, because it's not the same as what the American Gladiators was, but it is very much in that same style. And I'm pretty sure American Gladiators was for NBC at the same time.
Carlos Longoria mentioned Doom.
Doom. That was a bad movie, man.
Oh, the first person sequence was kind of cool, but ooh. I'll tell this story real quick about Doom. So, The Rock left wrestling full time in 2004 to go into making movies full time. He came back at the Hall of Fame before Mania 24 to induct his dad and his grandfather. And I was at that Hall of Fame. And I remember that place went nuts when he came out. When he walked out, he was just acting like a normal human being. And he was like, oh, wait a minute. And then he reached underneath the podium, pulls out a microphone, holds it up, and does his finally The Rock has come back to Orlando shtick. And the roof, I thought, was going to blow off the place. But he made a joke about John Cena's movie The Marine. And everybody's like, oh, and Rock's like, oh, it's okay, I made Doom. And everybody was like,
yeah,
oh yeah, Doom was a really bad movie.
Yeah, it's like Doom was worse than The Marine. My only issue with The Marine was that it had too many explosions. And that, I told my dad that after we watched it the first time, and he goes, that's your biggest gripe with this movie? I'm like, yeah. He's like, that's what you love. I'm like, I know. And it had too many. That's saying a lot. I was like 14 or 15, and I was like, it's too many explosions. It's just unfathomable. Yeah, dude, The Rock. What a guy.
Yeah, The Rock is fantastic. Carlos says, I thought what's his name played a better Judge Dredd, though. I want to say that was Carl Urban.
Oh, very much Carl Urban. Yeah. I am the law.
Even though like the Stallone version of Dredd does have a soft spot for me, just because of I can't do the facial expression, but he's like, I am the law.
Oh, I mean, I gotta stretch for that much frowning.
Something like
I am the law.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, he's got a lot of lip.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
They're all good, sir. They're all good.
I remember watching that movie for the first time. I was like 16 or 17, and I was staying at my grandparents' fishing camp for a week. And we had just brought like a stack of 10 DVDs, and one of them was Judge Dredd, and I had never seen it before. And that was the first time I had watched it.
Wow. I was maybe 10 or 11 when I first saw it. My dad's like, oh, this is a good movie. And we watched it. And I was like, wow, that was okay. And then I got older and I became a genuine fan of movies. And I watched it again. And I was like, okay, it was being very nice. Just out of like my own personal preference, not saying it's a bad movie, but my personal preference was okay, was being very nice as an 8-year-old.
Well, I'm sure you feel the same way that, since we've both, worked on film sets before and we're obviously both big movie fans.
Yes.
Once you do that, it completely changes your perspective on movies. Sometimes for the worse, because you can't go to a theater and enjoy a movie anymore.
Yes, I was at that point well before I knew I wanted to be an actor. I used to... I'm a borderline cinephile, but it's mostly for comedy movies and really fun action movies that are within my shtick, which is a broad, vast variety of Star Trek, Star Wars, comic books, and then, really random things. Motherless Brooklyn is on my list to watch next because I have Tourette's. So I really want to see how that's portrayed by Edward Norton because he's a class A actor.
I want to see that too.
So in high school, I would basically skimp on what I ate for lunch so that on the weekend I had enough change left over from lunch so I could go watch 3 movies a day because boy, was that more fun than sitting at home. And I went by myself. And
there's nothing wrong with that.
Everyone's like, that's so sad. I was listening to your Onward review about seeing it in theaters alone. And I'm like, was it Onward? Or was it? Yeah. Something like that. It was a movie. It was one of your recent podcasts when you were talking about going to the movies alone. And I'm like,
it was Onward. Yeah.
Yeah. I do that all the time. And I did that as a kid. I did that as a teenager. Now I do it as an adult because nobody wants to go to movies at random times that I do.
The way I look at it is it's not really that different from watching a movie by yourself at home. You're just watching it on a giant screen.
I get more elbow room. Usually, because I normally pick the one that no one goes to.
And if you go to a movie at like 1:00 in the afternoon and no one's there, you can sit back row middle and you can just prop your feet up, lean back like this, and you're good.
So when Onward came out the 13th, right? Of March, I think is when it came out in theaters. Was that week or maybe the week before? I was actually going down to Tampa right at the start of the coronavirus down there. And I took my nephews to see that because that's our thing. Okay, let me rephrase that. That's my thing that I'm teaching them to do, is go see movies. And I took them to see Onward because I knew it was going to be a movie about brothers. I'd had a little bit of the plot spoiled in the sense that I knew it was really about brothers and not finding your dead relative kind of thing. So I was like, these boys need to see this movie. And we went, and we were the only 3 people in the entire building outside of the workers because of the coronavirus. So we got to watch Onward by ourselves in the movie theater, which I don't think they've ever had happen. So one nephew kept switching seats all up in the top section, and I just sat in my normal seat because I'm very picky. I like to be as centered as I can in the theater. It's a very Sheldon Cooper thing. I want to have the best acoustics. and my other nephew sat next to me, and we just sat there and cracked up. And then at the end, I cried like a baby, and my nephews made fun of me. It was very mean.
I understood why you did, though. That movie was so freaking good.
So good. I'm gonna cry if I think about it too hard. It's so good. I'm trying to get my friend to watch it, but I don't. I'm like, he's like, I don't know if I want to cry. I'm like, but it's a good cry, bro. It's a good cry.
Yeah. No, it definitely is.
Yeah.
Well, as we start to wrap up here, you want to talk about CyberCon real quick? Because I know you've been pretty heavily involved, and I've been seeing you post a lot of good stuff about it. So tell us a little bit about CyberCon.
Let me take a deep inhale. The International Internet Convention known as CyberCon will be live streaming directly into your homes April 17th to 19th for 56 straight hours of content, starting on Friday, April 17th at noon Eastern Standard Time, all the way until Sunday, April 19th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to like CyberCon on Facebook so that you can stay up to date with who will be entertaining you. Now that that's out of the way, yes, I've been involved since Go. They messaged me. I messaged them about something separately and entirely separate. The web show folks, the Hanging with web show folks, and they're like, send this to Garrett, but also here's what we're about to do. And then before I'd even sent it, I saw the message, and at the end, it was basically, how crazy are we? And I was like, I'm more insane than you. I'm already in. And we started, I reached out to Derek right off the bat because I knew that he's moderated panels and he's got his podcast that he could do. I started a podcast with my friend David Thompson, the Lights, Thunder, Action podcast. That day, I started that project, CyberCon, another project, and another project. I think it was 4 projects in a day that I started from one single message. And it was my improv group. We started talking about filming our stuff because we can, and by we I mean me. So we decided to do that, and it's exploded. We have 56 hours completely covered on our main feed, which we're calling Hall H because it's not copywritten. And we have page panels, which most of the times are filled except for the wee hours of the morning. And so we basically have 2 separate ballrooms that you can attend. We have live auctions with comic book shops, one of which I just bought some really, really good stuff that I've been looking for. And I didn't even really have to try. They just happened to have it. Like the WandaVision wedding from Giant Avengers #4. Dude, got it. I got it. And I was so excited. Like I lost my mind. I got the first appearance of Malekith, Jane Foster revealing that she's Lady Thor. And what if #50? What if the Hulk killed Wolverine? Like good finds, good rare finds. That's really hard to look for these days. But the creme de la creme, this is my personal opinion. No one else can say this except for probably Christian Ingram from the Power Rangers guy and Power Rangers in Cyberspace, because with his help, he and I have confirmed 5 of the 6 Power Rangers from Power Rangers in Space. I have to pull up my notes because safety first. Didn't mean to hit that. Did I flip it? I flipped it. It's gone. It's missing. We have Christopher Cameron Lee, the Red Ranger, Tracy Lynn Cruz, the Yellow Ranger, Roger Velasco, the Black Ranger, Selwyn Ward, the Blue Ranger, and Justin Nemo, the Silver Ranger. As of right now, that is who we have confirmed. We are very hopeful. Our fingers are crossed. We're praying to the gods above, every deity. We need all their help, the Force, the Schwarz. We're praying to it all, that we can get the Pink Ranger, who's not done a con since 2009. We're hoping that she will join us for this panel because it is all live streaming and she does not have to deal with any folks in person. And if you're a fan and you know other fans, not all fans are created equal. So we're hoping that she'll come on, but I will be honest, I do not know how likely that is. If I had to put money on it, I would not be betting. Let's put it that way. But we're hopeful that she'll come on and join us, and that would be this is probably the closest you'll ever get to a Power Rangers in Space reunion with all the Rangers. And that'll be Saturday, which comes on right after the costume contest. That's right, folks. We have a virtual costume contest, as well as live paintings and a whole lot more. Oh, yes. Here's a very good one for us nerds. Stan Lee's final panel at Dragon Con will actually be broadcast. It was recorded and it'll be broadcast on the Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
I'll have to check that out. That's awesome. That's I think that's the last panel that I have like written into my calendar that I have to watch and pay attention to, because you have to pay attention to the maker. It's very important. It's very important. Yes.
Only Stan Lee can cut my hair.
But no, I'm excited for this weekend, and I want to thank you for reaching out to me to be a part of it. I'm going to be Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. Myself and my Nerd Cave Retro co-host Jason Robbins will be talking about the long-term effects that COVID-19 will have on the film industry. And I know we both have pretty strong opinions about that. So I'm excited to discuss it. And I mean, I think it's a very relevant topic for something that, may not, I think it's safe to say that the world's probably not going to be the same because of this. But I think the film industry especially is not going to be the same after this.
Yeah, I mean, we've already got movies releasing directly to digital with Trolls last week. So like that is a very big move. It's really a testing ground right now for the movie industry to see what's going to happen. WWE is now deemed essential business, which I mean, I like that they have entertainment. Like that's the only new entertainment consistently coming out on network television, or not network, but like cable. Yeah. So that's a really big deal. Would I call it essential? Not personally. No, I wouldn't even call my job essential, to be 100% honest with you, but it's only essential to the economy. And that's a political conversation that I'm going to push to the side. But with COVID, I forgot to mention this, that CyberCon is free. You can attend from your couch. Pants, I'm stressing this because I will not be wearing pants. Camera will be belly button up, so I'm perfect. My Thor costume's ready. Same. Pants are optional. You do not have to wear them to attend our con. And if you want to donate any money that CyberCon makes, as the group, we are donating 100% of the proceeds to the Center for Disaster Philanthropy's COVID-19 Response Fund. Our goal is $5,000 to donate to them, and which is really chump change considering that they just donated, I believe it was $1.5 billion to various networks last week, actually. So it's good. It's for a great cause. And at worst, I will make you laugh at some point during the day. I mean, Derek will be there. That is obviously like, you're going to come for Derek.
Maybe.
I'm gonna be there for Derek.
No, I think, kind of going off what you were saying a second ago, I think with everything that's going on right now and not really getting new movies, not getting any sports whatsoever, I think something like this will be great to have. And having, essentially you're getting to go to a convention on your couch. Yeah. That's freaking amazing.
Yeah, I love not wearing pants, so.
Yeah. I did want to throw out there real quick, kind of on the same topic. Carlos Longoria said, I read somewhere online about AMC possibly having to file for bankruptcy soon, the way things are going. I've heard that as well. And it sucks because there's an AMC like 2 blocks from my house.
Yeah, I have AMC A-List, and David Thompson, my podcast partner, he does as well. We actually hopped in at the same time, and that's my movie buddy. We would always go see random movies together. It's like, hey, you want to see this movie at 2:00? I got class. What about 3:00? I'm out of class. Bet. So that's been a big topic on our podcast so far in the news, because that's very near and dear to not only our pocketbooks, but our hearts and our cinephile addiction. I really hope that they can pull through. I hope that they're deemed essential. Wink, wink. Looking at you, governments. But we shall see. Now I'm going to cry myself to sleep thinking about AMC closing.
Well, on that note, in closing, I did want to ask, do you want to plug your podcast, your social media, so the listeners can follow you?
Yes, I should have had my card ready with all my stuff. So on Facebook, you can find me if you just go facebook.com/Thomas Carter Rochester. That is my full name. That'll be my acting page where you will get most of my entertaining stuff. My personal page has basically just become a plug for my other stuff. I also have Instagram at Thomas Carter Rochester. And my Twitter is right below me right now at TRochester749. Let's see what else. So TikTok, if you enjoy that and want to watch me be an idiot. Thor, Son of Dale. My YouTube is Life of Thor. And you can also find Lights, Thunder, Action on wherever you get your podcasts, as well as Life of Thor's YouTube, and it'll be pumped. And you can like us on Facebook to stay up to date with whatever we're bringing to the table this week.
Fantastic. Well, on my end, if you want to follow me on social media, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at D-Diamond Podcast. If you want to check out past episodes of the show, you can find them on YouTube and all podcasting platforms. And of course, thank you to the Unicorn Wranglers for providing the theme music for the podcast. Thomas, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was fun. We'll have to do this again.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I always love talking to you, brother.
Yeah, no, likewise. I knew that, I've listened to some of your YouTube stuff and a little bit of your podcast, and you're doing good stuff, so keep doing it.
Thank you. I appreciate that more than I can put into a grammatical sentence.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for listening, and thank you to those who are watching on Facebook Live, and we'll see you guys next week.